and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we test of the things we think, say, and do, first is it the truth, second is it fair to all concerned, third will it build goodwill and better friendship, fourth will be beneficial to all concerned. Thank you all for being here. Stacy's out of town, so you get me. I was just checking and I didn't see if we actually have a new president yet or not, but hopefully it's done or gets done peacefully. And
he was speaking as we left.
Yeah, he should be in by now, I guess.
Oh yeah, he's in.
Anyway, I do have one order of business not related to our meeting structure. Bonnie, I just sent you, it's from the Marshall County Health Department, but there is a clinic on Saturday from 8 to 4 at the Marshall County Fairgrounds to administer 400 COVID vaccines. So Rose Hart called me last night. I should have gotten this, I sent it on email to everybody. Rose Hart called me yesterday and wanted to know if we could have any helpers. It's from 8 to 4, and if we help even just for an hour or two, that's fine. And she said the last time if somebody needed help getting out of their car, they helped them. They escorted them if they needed escorted into the building. Inside the building, they just showed them where to go, and once they get there,
$1.
I think that's $10.
I think it definitely should be increased for them. Anyway, once they get their shot, somebody shows them where to sit for 15 minutes so they can be observed in case there's a problem, and then help them back to the car if need be. So if you would like to help on Saturday, well, maybe you need the help and you just run in there and stick your arm in. If you want to help, call Rose Hart.
Who?
Rose Hart.
Oh, I'll call Rose.
Okay.
You can't say no to Rose.
She was talking and she's like, Deborah, I'm like, Rose, stop, I won't be here Friday. She's like, oh, well, Rose, her mind is always networking. And she's like, well, can you ask him at Rotary?
You have to give her a yes answer.
I've told her no many times. It's fun.
Well, no, she'll say, well, you can always do this.
She does. She does. So anyway, you've got her number, right, Bonnie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Thank you.
if you need her number, it's in, and for everybody zooming, it's in your email.
I have to wait till next week to get my dollar. Josh isn't here.
I'll remember.
Oh, I'll remember.
You will not forget. All right, so today's program, we're supposed to be brainstorming ideas about our meetings, our meeting structure, and Ashley is in charge of that, right? So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go back there.
All right.
And welcome Ashley to help us revamp.
Great, I can see everybody.
So obviously today we are very grateful for our Zoomers to have 3 more people join in here, but that's only a total of 8 people. So I know we can still discuss things and try to put a plan in place for our next meeting, but obviously with just the 8 of us here and not having our president or treasurer, we're not going to be able to set anything in stone or make major decisions. I hope everybody received our email, just a recap of our last brainstorming session, just a couple of things to discuss or think about, what would work best for you. And once I walked in here today and noticed that we're not going to have a huge, large group, I kind of changed the whole direction of this meeting and how I wanted to run it. I kind of would like to get everybody's opinion and give everybody an opportunity to speak and just share maybe how you feel, if you think our current meetings, our current structure with our dues and our projects, if that all is working for you, then great, share that with us. If 1 or 2 or even all 3 are something that might work better differently for you, please share that with us. I'm just going to take some notes. And obviously, I think the only way we're going to be able to make any type of changes or keep it all the same is majority, is what's best for the most people that are part of our club. I also think that we discussed a lot of things last meeting or brainstorming session, and it might be a little overwhelming to try to discuss 10 different topics, you know? So I think today would be our best, most impactful way to pick one the most important topic for us to discuss. And then our next meeting, that's where we can dive into a little deeper. So I'll start because I'm in the hot seat and I'm put on the spot. And I actually had the opportunity to speak with Sharon and Linda a little bit before everybody else joined us today. And selfishly, what works best for me is what we're doing now, because I am on my company does support the Rotary. They pay for all of our lunches. And to be honest, I leave on company time, so I'm not sacrificing my own personal time. Now, that being said, I am open to different times or days if that works better for other people or more new members. But as far as our dues and our meeting times, they're fine for me because it doesn't really affect me as much because it's on my company. As far as projects go, though, I think we do such great work in our community, and obviously COVID has changed a lot this year for everybody. But I also feel that we can make a bigger impact on our community. And I mean, I'm sure that's getting the speakers in here and finding out where the needs are and how we can spend our funds to make the biggest impact here. To me, that would be my biggest change, to see where we could maybe change some funds or gain more funds to help more people. I'm going to spin the camera around here. I'm going to put Mike on the hot seat, because he's next here.
Okay, can you all hear me good? All right, we got a thumbs up by Katrina there. I can't see Brianna or Bob there, but
I can hear you fine.
We have discussed, the future of our meetings here the last few weeks here, and my intake, I'm good with what we have right now, the way the structure is right now. Again, if we would decide to change the format of the meetings or meet at different times, it's not going to offend me. I'll do what I can to come to meetings. It's not going to offend me. I mean, I would prefer this one because it's more convenient, but, I'm also open to doing, meetings at different times, like what we have discussed before, like an after work one on occasion, or that sort of thing. Now, projects, again, we've been hit hard with this COVID. It's been hard for Rotary to contribute to projects here. And I do like even though I'll be unable to attend it, I do like the idea from Rose Hearts, the Rotary volunteering for the vaccination clinic. What is it, this Saturday?
It's actually Friday.
Or Friday, the 22nd is Friday. Yes,
Yeah.
the 22nd is Friday.
Okay then. So don't go on Saturday, Bonnie.
So yeah, you got my intake on it.
And you're fine,
I'm fine with where we're at now. I'm fine with the way the dues are structured. But again, I'm open to new ideas, and I won't be offended if the format changes in any way. I'm sort of like on the same boat as Ashley, I guess.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm gonna face you all to the good of the crowd here, and I'm gonna turn it over to our amazing Zoomers. Katrina, you're first. You joined me first, so I'm gonna put you in the hot seat now, please.
Okay. Well, I mean, COVID's a little different right now, but in normal times, I prefer something that is during the workday. Selfishly, I have children, and they have tons of after school activities, and a lot of the other things that I am involved with is after work. So I think it's been nice that I've been able to keep Rotary as a priority. So to me, I like this time during the workday. Same as Mike, if it does change, I'm not saying that my feelings won't be hurt either. I would try to accommodate. And then I guess speaking on dues, I am in the same boat as you. I'm fortunate that my work does want us involved in this, and they take care of the dues part. I honestly don't even know how much it is. So I feel like my opinion is probably not valid on that point. But I think we do a really great job at being involved in the community. I think, Shelley brought up something that's passionate to her, and we executed it. And I think we could expand on some of the things that we're doing if we have people that have different passions and, that we can contribute more. I think that would be great. But I do think we do a really good job in, obviously Rose, reached out to us, and I think a lot of places do that. So I think we are impactful. But I think with anything else, I think we can always do more. But it just seems like I think we've had this problem for a while. It's the same people, so it does get exhausting for those people. So I say that with a little bit of I don't know what the word would be, caution, I guess, that to add more things, because you don't want to add anything more to anyone's plate without them being overwhelmed. So that's kind of my take on it, I guess.
No,
Hopefully that added some value for you.
very valid. Great.
All right, Bob, I'm going to turn it over to you if you want to unmute yourself.
As far as the day, the time, everything is fine. The dues are fine. I have no problem with it. I pay my own, but I still don't have a problem with it. But as far as I agree with Katrina, it is the same people that participate and do all the things, and we all get burned out.
Yes.
But that's just a fact of life. I mean, I wish we could get more involvement in the whole club, for the whole club, but I don't see that changing drastically a lot. But that's my take on it at this point.
Thank you so much, Bob. We really appreciate that. Brianna,
I have lots to say, so be prepared.
ready to write.
So, and honestly, I agree with what everyone said to begin with, but I'm trying to look at this from someone who's not involved with Rotary, like what's going to make that appealing to them as well, because we're constantly talking about growing our club. We're not growing our club. Like resign people from the DACDB system because people are resigning, whether that's because of COVID, job transfers, anything like that. I haven't added anyone to our system since I've been secretary. And I think that's like, we can change that. As for the meeting times and dates, I think Wednesdays at noon work perfectly. I'm with Katrina. I do like the during the day option, but I also think the last brainstorming session we had, I think it was Nan who talked about kind of almost like a business after hours type thing. Like maybe once a month we have, instead of, say it's the fourth Wednesday of the month, instead of having our daytime meeting, let's have an evening meeting for those people who can't actually come during the day. And then we could go to whatever restaurant or whatever place in Moundsville, something like that. And I think that could build partnerships in the community, and also get people involved who can't make that noon time, that daytime meeting. I think that's definitely worth exploring. Let's see, that was number one with meeting times and dates. For the dues structure, I'm the outlier. I work for a nonprofit, and I think that might be the difference here. My nonprofit doesn't pay for my dues, or the one I am now, they pay for my dues. They do not pay for my meals. That's not something that is even considered. I'm actually starting a new job on Monday, and I know that it's another nonprofit. They will not cover my dues. That is going to be something that I have to pay individually. I've talked to other members of the community who are interested in joining, and the one I most recently spoke to, her main thing that stopped her from joining Rotary is that she can't afford it, because she also works for a nonprofit, and she can't pay for that herself. She's an active member of the community. She's involved with local government. She's someone who we've talked about before. We don't want just people to join just for the sake of joining. We want people who are going to do things. so we're not all burnt out on all of our projects like this. We want people who want to be like meaningful members. I don't know what that looks like in changing that dues structure, but I think also, again, helping to grow the club, and it kind of ties into our project thing. Most of our membership are corporate members, that works. That's wonderful. We talk about trying to identify the needs in the community. Think about the last few speakers that we've had. They're not members. We don't have members from the YWCA. We don't have members from A Special Wish. We don't have members from these nonprofits that are coming to speak to us. And I think they're running into the same issue that I have. I could be wrong, I'm projecting, but I do think that that is a significant reason why those people aren't able to join or haven't really considered that. And I think it's worth exploring, especially, I'll tie into the third thing. I wrote notes, this is what I do. Tying into our projects, I mean, I love what we've been doing, but if we want to, you know, really identify the needs of the community, we have these different speakers come in to talk to us about what's going on in the community, like the YWCA last week talking about human trafficking. And a lot of us were, you know, I think kind of surprised, like, wow, this really is in our own backyard. And not that it's not great that she came to talk to us, but if we had someone from the YWCA already in our club, we probably would have already known some of that, if that makes sense. Because we'd be kind of keeping up with that, you know, how we're always talking at the meetings anyways, like, hey, what's going on? Like, just anything like that. And I think that due structure is a little prohibitive towards the nonprofit community. Again, I'm biased, obviously. I work in the nonprofit. I'm gonna, like, even my new job will be at a nonprofit. So please remember that I am biased about this. But I think it's a legitimate concern that we should, you know, keep discussing. And I think that's all I have.
Brianna, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brianna.
Sharon.
Yeah. Now I'm going to forget because everybody said something and I thought, oh yeah, there's that. I've been a member since 1998 and I've always paid my own dues because I'm me. I don't have anybody to pay my dues. The due structure works for me. I just make sure I come and don't skip a lunch. However, I do think that's one reason we don't have more members because they don't want to pay that much. The flip side of that is if we're going to meet in this room, we have to have people eating because we can't have this room if nobody eats. So we have to keep that in mind. We talked the last time about maybe changing the due structure so that meals are not included. And then when we come, then we pay for our own meals, which might work the best. For me, that would be an increase in dues because I'd be paying club dues too. But we have to have club dues, which we don't have now, if we don't have meals, because right now, people who pay for their dues, which includes meals, and don't come are our fundraiser for administrative things. If we don't have that there, then we have to have club dues. So, but I'm okay with, I don't care. But I do think that our high dues is one reason we don't have more members. And like I think I brought up the last time that dues used to be high to be exclusive. And now we want to be inclusive. So I think that's probably one thing we really need to explore. As far as meeting time, as we were talking earlier, this works for me. I've done it since 1998. I have to eat lunch anyway, and so I would like to eat lunch here with other business people once a week, and it totally works for me. I would like evening less. Evening would be tougher for me, but I would do it if we needed to do it. I love the idea of once a month business after hours. Yeah, I think that's really cool. What else? Oh, and I think like we're having lunch, and I know a lot of people can't make it to lunch, but now that we're Zooming too, we've already decided we'll keep Zooming. Even after COVID, we'll still be Zooming. So if somebody can't come, they can participate via Zoom, and they can watch it on our YouTube channel now, thanks to Ashley. So that might help, I think. And then another thing should be, bless you, Mike, Becky Hunn, the district membership chair, said some clubs are doing satellite clubs. So we could even have a satellite club.
We used to have a satellite club, didn't we, up in Cameron? Or
Yes, we did.
you started it.
And it became a club.
Yeah, you and I went up a couple times, I think, yeah.
So a satellite club is not hard to do, actually. We did have ours in Cameron, and that was a little harder because it was a drive to Cameron to
But
do
it did bring Cameron aware of what Rotary was,
It
because they
did,
had
and
never really had any Rotary. Club
Seriously,
up
if
there.
we had just kept them a satellite club, they'd still be here. We just shouldn't do that, but live and learn. But anyway, so there's a possibility of maybe doing a satellite club at a different time. But like lunch on Wednesdays works for me. And I'm pretty flexible, whatever. It's gotta be the majority. And we do have to look at how can we get more people? Now, some people that I've talked to, Wednesday at lunch works for them because they're retired too. But yes, if we offer them the Zoom, that should help. If we have maybe another option or two, that should help. I don't know. I think to me, the biggest problem is the dues in getting new members. And COVID's hard. And I know some clubs are growing in COVID, and I think we need to be growing in COVID too, but it does make things a little more challenging. And as far as projects, I think we do a lot for Little Club. And the same people do everything, but in any group, any group you go to, 20% of people do 80% of the work. That's just the way it is. So the key to me, the very obvious key is we need more people so that 20% grows. So now we're back to membership. If we figure out how we can get more members, that part will go away. Now, I do think we talked for years about we had to do more hands-on. We need to quit writing checks. We need to do hands-on. And we're starting to do that, and COVID hit. So now we're gonna have to restart that idea. But I think when we're allowed to be in public again, that something we can do hands-on, even if it's something that we're already doing. Although we do with the House Carpenter, we have several people that go do that.
We
Dr.
did
Grandparent is
somewhat a
hands-on.
little bit of that. Well, I helped Bonnie out, remember?
Yeah,
Back in November there.
so we do some, and
We do what we can, it's just
Right.
we're very limited right now.
well, and the Dr. Grandparent is very hands-on for quite a few people.
Correct.
So maybe we could do more with Wellspring or something, since that's our main project. Instead of expanding into a new project, just do more with what we have when we can. Okay, I think that's it.
I do got a question. Sharon, you probably know the answer to this, and I feel I should, so it might be a dumb question, but I apologize if it is. Is there a difference in rate between a regular member and a corporate member, or is they all the same?
Well, there is sort of, right now there is. In corporate membership, you have a main person.
Okay, so you got a main person along with, or
Up to
whoever else,
3
like West
people.
Bank has their main person along with whoever else.
Right, so the main person pays the dues the way they are now, including the meal.
Okay, so,
So wait, let me finish.
Okay.
And I'll answer your question, but just let me finish. Okay, so the main person pays full dues, which right now include meals. The other people from that group only pay district and international dues. So they're like $27 a quarter or something like that. It's like the bare minimum. Paying district and international dues makes them a Rotarian. Okay, they're a full Rotarian just like anybody else.
correct.
It doesn't pay for their lunch. So in the past, we've had some corporations that have all 4 of their people here at one time. Well, if that happens, then they pay for 3 meals. Altmeyer's, of course, again, with COVID, we haven't had anybody. But what they did is they had 4 people and a different one came each week. So the company never paid for an additional meal because they're already paying for 1 meal.
Right.
So if they took turns coming each week, then that meal was covered.
That was kind of leading into my next question there is how we do the billing for the corporate membership. Like obviously you have the corporate member, but the thing is you have like 3 or 4 other people.
Well,
They pay International Rotary or Rotary International rather, and the
District.
individuals pay Rotary International and
No, the company does.
the company pays all that.
Company pays everything. So when Josh bills them, he's gonna bill them for the primary member plus whoever else they have, plus any meals they've eaten in a quarter.
Okay, so they bill the company directly.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, I was just thinking back at Brianna's there,
Katrina?
I didn't want to interrupt Mike, but I have a question on membership. Do we advertise that we are accepting new members in like any kind of capacity like that, just letting people know we are open? I know I've seen, I know everyone checks in and says like, hey, I'm here, but I don't really know that it needs to really be an expense, but just that we are open for memberships besides just like.
Well, that was.
I think that's a really good idea though. Like, one of the groups I'm affiliated with through work right now is the Women's Giving Circle. And we actually just created a post for a fundraiser they're doing. And at the bottom it says, hey, like we're always accepting new members. So if you're interested, please contact so-and-so. So if I just put it on my list, I'm going to make a Facebook post about it that, you know, hey, we're accepting new members, contact, message the page or something like that. But just making sure that like the community itself knows that, hey, like it's not only like in January that you can actually enroll. It can be like we're actively accepting now. So talk to someone.
Yeah, that it doesn't necessarily you don't have to be with the corporation. You can be an individual member. You know what I mean? I think just more clarity on that part, that people think they can be an individual and be there, or they, you know, I don't know that I knew that before this. So I just am wondering, like, I know I do a lot with the chamber. So I know the chamber would be more than happy if we had something to put into their newsletter. And there's a lot of businesses that gets blasted to, that's something that's for free. Just having that advertisement out there. Like I said, I don't think it really needs to be any type of expense, but just, you know, our resources besides our own personal Facebook pages saying, hey, we're checked in, just something maybe a little bit more than that.
If that works for everyone, I'm more than happy to create some sort of like graphic. We have a system here that I can create something pretty simple and I can send it to the chamber newsletter. If everyone's in agreement with that, that's no problem.
I think that's great. I support that
I think
100%. Love
Joel
the idea,
was.
Katrina.
I know Joelle was at one point. Wasn't
But
she?
I brought this up not long ago. You open the Echo and there's the Lions Club doing this.
We
and
used to
this,
do
and
the
we
Echo.
never have anything out there.
Well, that's because Jim Cochran is a 50-plus
Never true.
lion,
But if
and
we
he
turn it
writes
into-
the columns.
And if we turn it
We
into.
used to
people
though. I
come
mean, we used to have that, Liz was her name, she used to come in and put us in the Echo.
And I
So does it cost anything to put it in the Echo?
Mary Margaret worked.
I'm pretty sure the Echo is free.
Okay. I mean, I can contact them as well and see, like, just make a giant thing. Like I can post something, whatever I send to the chamber, I will also put on our Facebook page. So if anyone wants to share that, that'll be there. And then I'm assuming the Echo would just be like text. It wouldn't be the actual imaging, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think you can do an image. I think you can.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you can, I know you can send a picture and a story.
Right.
Okay, perfect. If that works, if everyone thinks that's, yeah, I'll just use the same thing for everything and we'll just put it in 3 different outlets.
To be honest, that is such a great point that you brought up, Katrina, because the only way I found out about Rotary was I had a woman that I worked with, Trina, who was involved in Rotary, and she invited me to that Rising Against Hunger. I had no clue about any of this until she invited me. And then I was like, wow, this is awesome. I feel great. You know what I mean? I want to be a part of this. But I had no clue about
And
Rotary.
Rising Against Hunger was a good way for us to get out in the community, but again, we couldn't do it last year.
Right.
And I don't know, who knows, I mean, you have to plan it in advance, so I don't know if we're up for planning for one for this year or not.
I think that planning will probably start in like April or May.
We should know something by then, don't you think?
My gut tells me that we'll be able to do some form of it this fall. I don't know if it'll be like, hey, let's have 200 people in this building, but I think we'll be able to do something, I think, safely and everything. Like, I think we should plan for that. I don't know that it'll look exactly the same as years past just because of the amount of people, but I think we will be able to do something.
Well, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Linda and Bonnie just to get both of your opinions on everything as well, because we're running to about 5 minutes left. So I want to make sure we hear from everybody today.
Right, I'll make it short and sweet. Wednesdays work for me. Lunch works for me. I like it here. I miss all my friends, seeing them in person and interacting with them. As far as the dues, these are my thoughts. When I worked at West Banco, they paid everything. That was wonderful. When I retired, they stopped paying. Imagine that. And I pay my dues and pay for my meals and whatever. I think before we make any changes to dues, we need to get with Josh and see what kind of an impact that would have. If you bring in 5 new members because we've lowered the dues, but you lose the income you've had all these years on 20 people whose companies are paying, where's the win there?
Well, that's what, the last time he said we'd have to have a club dues.
Right. And I do think like a business after hour type thing once a month after work would be doable. I wouldn't want to do it every Wednesday, but I think once a month might be nice. That's it. It's all yours, Vaughn.
I love lunch.
I love eating, period.
And this certainly does work for me. One thing I might suggest as food for thought is to look at the dues structure. Perhaps there are people that would love to come, but they really don't want to do lunch. We could still have it at noon, and those of us who choose lunch will lunch. But if you choose not to have lunch, that's okay as
Right.
well. So your dues would certainly be a lesser amount than what those of us pay that want lunch. And I love the maybe once a month, perhaps the last Wednesday of the month or the first Wednesday of the month, to do something like a business after hours, very informal, where you could have order for yourself and have a glass of wine if you wanted it. And that would be a little bit different. And I was also thinking about a group that we helped in the past that I haven't heard a lot about recently. And that was a group at the high school at John Marshall that we helped with.
Cause for a cause.
Yes,
What is
yes.
Pause for cause.
Cause.
PAWS.
That's what it was. And I haven't heard any mention of that for quite some time. So I'm trying to think of new things that we could do for the community that we have not done in the past. But I do remember that.
They are still going very good.
Yeah, they are, but it's COVID, and so
That's true.
you haven't heard much about that.
But I haven't
they
heard
are still
anything
doing it.
about that for a long time. I didn't remember it last year. Do we do anything for the senior center over on 5th Street?
I don't think we ever have.
Well, that's a thought, just something to consider if they had a need for something that we could provide. I know we work with a lot of the children's groups and we do a lot, like you all said. But I would really like to consider a difference in dues. Don't ever think that I won't be eating, but there are those that may not choose to do that.
I do like that option because,
Yes.
I
And
think
if
for a
you're
lot
paying
of
your
us,
own way,
it's nice to have our company or know that you're always gonna eat and have it all included in once.
mhm.
And then there's so many that don't utilize it, but, I think that,
that could be an option. Or if that individual would choose to come and have a lunch, they would pay for their lunch.
yeah,
Right.
And we could have an amount set, maybe. I don't know what we pay now.
We pay $8 now.
What do we pay?
9.
We'll dine with it. Yeah,
Is
we
that
pay
all we
$9.
pay?
$9.
Oh my
That's why we don't
gosh, where
get
else
That's
can you
just
get this
for the
kind of
meal.
Right.
lunch for $9?
Exactly, and everybody has to eat.
But, yeah, but if there are
It's
those
there,
who choose
that
not to do
just is
that,
telling me to
that'd be
renew something.
$36 a month.
Can we do something?
No.
What? Talking about like helping the seniors. One thing I think we need to be more involved in is leadership, because it's great to do community service and help people who need help, but we need to be bringing up the next group of leaders too. I don't know how we're supposed to do that. Of course, with COVID, we haven't had our students of the month. We used to do those, but we need to, that we see them and they give their speech and then they go, we never see them again. And there's got to be a way, like I'm a member of the 4-H Alumni Association now, and is for people like them that then they go out and get lost. We need to find some way, I think, to keep those students, kind of keep in touch with them or try to get them into a Rotaract where they go. Or we've never had luck getting an Interact started at John Marshall, but maybe we could. Just because we never have doesn't mean we can't. But we need to be encouraging leaders too. We don't need to just be taking care of people that need food to eat.
Well, hopefully when COVID ceases and we get our students involved again.
Yeah.
Right.
They can give us some input of what the younger
Right. There you go.
generation would appreciate and maybe perhaps become involved with. Even the colleges around here.
We need a Rotaract at Brianna. We need a Rotaract at Northern.
That is exactly my.
I have orientation on Monday, so I will let you know how that goes.
That would be a lovely addition for them.
Yes,
So it sounds like at this point, just from the 8 of us and what we've discussed, that maybe we need to, next time we do another brainstorming session, get together with Josh and kind of see the impact of restructuring the dues and what would work best that way. I just thought of this, I don't think anybody really said this, but I feel like we should talk about dues and then maybe adding that business after hours or something like that. I think that's a really cool idea, just to welcome new people and a little change of scenery, possibly once a month. And, but I think after hearing from Katrina and a couple other people about the projects, it would be pretty awesome to, because I'm so new that I am not maybe aware of all the projects that we're involved in, to maybe put a list of all those projects and who is handling them, and maybe we can restructure and add a little help to some of those ones that are taking on the heavier load. Because I know like the FRN stuff, I've never been involved with. I'd be happy to help, but I know that the couple ladies that handle that, they do it all. So I'm sure that we can maybe find out.
I'm sure there are things that they would love for us to.
Together.
Yeah, I'm sure they would love to have us. We could have some.
Is it possible maybe that we have, well, I have two suggestions. One being that the next time we do this, we schedule it and we focus solely on one of those things, like the due structure. So that way we know like that Josh will be here and hey, this is only what we're talking about. So let's get it hammered out and we'll at least get one of the things done. That was my first suggestion. Two, do we have like maybe like a project committee or something? And then that's who would have all of the information. Like I know that Sharon, you and I were really like that. Rise Against Hunger was our big thing. And you have the adopted grandparent. Shelly has the Wellspring. So like maybe if we had just like, I'm thinking abstractly, of course, but if there was a committee, and then if we had to meet sometime other than Wednesday at noon to just get, those things kind of figured out. Who's in charge of which project, who's, working with which project. And then whenever we have our regular Wednesday meetings, we could have some sort of like committee update or each of those, whatever projects, this is what's going on. Just as I know, like, obviously it's 1:03 now, like 40 minutes for, the professional part of business here, it's not a whole lot of time. So maybe if we had some sort of, and I know everyone hates committees, I know that. But I'm thinking that might be something that could possibly streamline all of this. I could be crazy. I am crazy, but it's a
Rhonda,
suggestion.
when I get home, I'll send you, I have a list of our community projects. I used to put it on the back of the newsletter. So I'll send you that list. I don't know.
Will you send that to me as well?
I will.
Yeah.
We might just do a P-mail.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do
Awesome.
a P-mail to everybody so everybody knows.
I agree though, very much with Brianna that we do need to focus on one thing and kind of direct each brainstorming session to that one thing. I think we're gonna get more accomplished that way. And I think from what we discussed today here, as long as Josh is available, which he always is other than today, that we discuss dues next with Josh here and
I agree.
find out just different ways of working it. We obviously don't want to lose money as a club for fundraisers and different things we can do, but we don't want to
scare people away either.
So we might want to give Josh a heads up that that's his homework.
Yeah. And when could we,
Excuse me, didn't we buy a clock for in here?
We did, it was
Well,
on
what
there.
the heck happened to it?
Well,
We're
remember-
over. It's
I'm
1:05.
the person that.
I know, Bonnie, I've looked at that wall.
I mean, my whole life has been on a time clock.
It seemed to go through batteries really fast, but you know, when we changed the batteries in it.
I've got lots of batteries.
We need to ask them, because I'm like you, I think about it.
I've
but
been looking around every week.
February
Where's
10th
that clock?
open at this time?
What is it?
February 10th, is that an open meeting?
Yeah, right now it's open.
Do we want to set that up as our dues brainstorming session?
That sounds good.
Okay.
I won't be here, but y'all can carry on without me.
I just gave Josh a heads up on the dues.
Good job. We knew we kept you around for a reason, Bob.
Oh, he did. Thank you, Bob.
I'll remember that, Sharon.
That and cooking hot dogs, that's what you're good for. Oh, I'm the bell ringer.
You are the bell ringer.
Sorry, guys. All right, anybody have anything else? See you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, that was really beneficial.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Ashley, we really lucked out when we got you.
We sure do.